So the Wuthering Waves anniversary version is finally here, and it's packed with all sorts of surprises. I mean, there is so much to love about this anniversary, but really, there is also a lot of things that don't quite hit the mark for me. But that's not what I want to dive into in this video. There is one issue that has been around since version 1 of Wuthering Waves, and I think it's important we talk about it, because even though it seems minor now, if we don't address it, it could really snowball into something that negatively impacts the game, for us lore lovers especially. So if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts about the anniversary. I really want to hear how you all feel about it. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Alright, let's jump right into it. So we all know that Wuthering Waves has a great story, fantastic characters, and overall, it's a really solid game. But here's the thing. Whether it's due to the writers or the developers, Wuthering Waves has a serious problem, and it's a flaw that doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but trust me, it is a fatal one. The issue is this constant need to maintain this harem fantasy around the rover and all of these female characters. Like, let's be real for a second, we've all seen it. There is a noticeable lack of male characters in the game. I mean, how many male 5 stars do we have? Maybe 2 or 3, and that's across an entire year. Meanwhile, we get a steady stream of female characters, and honestly, it's looking like that trend is going to continue. Now, although that is a problem, that is not the main problem I have. The actual problem I have with this is the interaction between these characters. Remember the 1.4 quest where all these women from different regions came together? Sure, they were in the same space, but if you notice, there was zero interaction between them. Not even a single comment about one another. The only time we see these women interact was in the final cutscene, and even then, it felt like the entire plot of that scene was to show off how the rover is surrounded by all these women. And honestly, that's pretty concerning, because as much as I love Wuthering Waves, I don't want to play a game where there are moments where things like these are that apparent. But more than that, I think character interaction between different nations is essential for world building. It's a core part of what makes a game feel alive. If every time characters from different nations meet, it's just to reinforce this rover harem idea, then it's seriously damaging what could be a much richer, deeper experience in this world. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but wait, in the cube world there was so much interaction, right? The cubes were interacting between one another. And yes, I totally agree with that. But here's where the problem lies. The cubes aren't the actual characters. They are created simulations generated from the rover's memory, so they are not really the characters in the true sense. But even if we look past that, there is a huge difference between having these cube versions of characters interact and having the real deal, the actual characters in the same space. You see, just by the actual characters existing together, they bring a whole new layer of depth and seriousness to the scene. It's not just about what they are doing, their very presence adds something meaningful to the moment. And honestly, the only time during that anniversary event where I really felt any of that weight or seriousness was in the final cutscene. But here's the thing about that cutscene. Yes, there were some interactions. I mean, we saw Camellia, Jinxie, and Karathea having a bit of a moment, right? But honestly, I'd argue that the interaction felt super fabricated. When we switched to Cantarella and Chun-Li, they were not even having a conversation. They were just staring at each other. Not a word was exchanged. That right there tells me the interaction in that cutscene wasn't real. It was just there to make you think, oh wow, look at all these characters together. To me, the whole point of that cutscene was to show you the rover surrounded by all these women, reinforcing that harem idea. And it's made even clearer when you realize the 2 male characters in that scene, Kalcharo and Brant, combined probably didn't even get more than 5 or 6 seconds of screen time max. The cutscene wasn't about character interaction or story progression, it was all about look at the rover and all of his harem. And that's why I personally did not enjoy it. I wasn't hyped about it at all. And here's the thing, like I said earlier, this is a very small issue right now. But if we don't start talking about it, if we don't start pointing it out, this could easily grow into a massive issue. Imagine if every time characters from different nations come together, the only thing we get is a forced idea of the rover surrounded by all these women. Eventually, that's going to leave us with one of 2 feelings. One, we'll start expecting that every time characters meet, it's just to reinforce that idea. Or 2, we would end up not wanting characters from different nations to interact at all, because the only thing it leads to is that same tired trope. And to be honest, it could even get worse. Right now, we're just seeing characters from different nations meet, but the fact that people like Jinxie and Karathea are meeting and not having a serious conversation, that's already insane. These are two huge characters, probably the most important characters in each region. We have the Magistrate of Jinzhou and the most important character in Renacita, and their interaction is just underwhelming. Now, here is where things could get worse. Imagine if the gods started meeting. Like, let's say in the future we get Jue as a playable character, and they become a human-sized female character, and another god does the same thing. Imagine if instead of having these gods meet and maybe talk, share their experience, and reflect on the tough times they've been through, their entire purpose for meeting is just to be another part of the Rover's harem. That would be the worst case scenario. Now, I know it might sound like something that would never happen, but honestly, with what we've seen so far, how can we be sure? We've already seen two instances where female characters came together solely to enforce this whole harem idea. So how can we be confident that this won't just keep escalating? And like I keep saying, this is a very small issue right now, but I think it's a conversation worth having, especially for those of us who enjoy the moments when characters meet up. Like, for me, one of the best moments I've had in Genshin Impact was when Venti and Zhongli finally met up and started clowning on each other. I thought that was a fantastic moment. We've seen their funny rivalry from the start of the game, Venti thinking Zhongli is ancient and Zhongli thinking Venti is an alcoholic. And when they met, the way they were so passive-aggressive towards each other, it was hilarious. That build-up made it worth it, and that's the kind of character interaction I want to see more of. I'm not saying it had to be exactly like Venti and Zhongli's dynamic, but I really want that kind of interaction in Wuthering Waves. Characters from different nations meeting up and having real conversations. Whether they're deep or lighthearted, it doesn't matter. Just something that feels genuine. Not just characters standing in the background while the rover is at front. I never want to see that, honestly. But that is just my opinion. What do you all think? Am I overreacting? Do you think there is nothing wrong with it? Or do you agree with me that this could end up being a bigger issue down the line? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.